topic, which was Introduction to Chess, where we learned the names of the chess pieces. So in the first puzzle of the homework, we just have to identify the names of the chess pieces. Here we can see in the corner, there is white king. And in the center, there is a white rook and a black rook. And in this corner, we have a black king. Let's move on to the second question of the homework. We have to identify the names of the green color highlighted chess pieces. So we know the horse is called as knight and the crown is called as queen. Let's go to the third puzzle of the homework. And here we just identify the name of the green highlighted chess pieces. This one, which is looking like a pointed chess piece with a circle on top, is the bishop, the white bishop. And this one, the soldier, is called as pawn. Let's move on to the next, question number 4. Here we have to write the square names of the kings. We have to find out the letter and the number. So the white king is placed on B3, as we can see. Letter is B, number is 3. So white king is on B3 and the black king is on G6. That's the correct answer. White king B3, black king G6. Next, let's move on to question number 5, where we have to write the square names of all the chess pieces. So let's start with this white king is on B1. The white rook is on F2. The white queen is on D3. The black king is on E6. And the bishop is on G7. G7. Next, question number 6 is asking that is the king and queen placed correctly in the starting position? So we can see the answer is yes. The white king starts the game on the letter E or the E file, and the queens start the game on the letter D. So it's indeed correct. Queen on the same color, kings on the opposite color square. Let's move on to question number 7 of the homework. And it's asking, is the starting position of the rook correct or not? So here we can clearly see the rooks are not placed correctly because in the starting of the game, the rook is supposed to be in the corners. So this is wrong. And let's move on to question number 8. We have to identify the chess pieces and write their square names. Let's start with this one. Is the black pawn is on A4. That's the square name of the black pawn, A4. Next, white pawn is on F4. The black king is on D5 and the white king is on C8. The letter is C and the number is 8. Let's move on to question number 9. Is this starting position correct? We learned how to arrange the chessboard. So if you see closely, it is wrong because the king and the queen are not placed properly. The king was supposed to be on the letter E and the queen is supposed to be on D. They are swapped. So this is wrong starting position. And let's move on to the last question of the homework, number 10, where you have to find out whether the starting position arranged is right or wrong. So here we can see it is wrong because of the knight and the bishop are swapped. The knight is supposed to be next to the rook and the bishop should be near the king and queen. So the last question, number 10 of the homework, the starting position is wrong. It's not arranged properly. So now let's jump into today's new topic, which I think you will really enjoy. Make sure to stay engaged and follow closely as we explore this topic together. And we are going to learn about how the king moves and how the pawn moves. Both are very slow. We will learn about the slower chess pieces first. So as we can see, there is a white king on G2 and a black king on B7. And the king is actually the leader, the captain of the team. And we know the leaders are actually very old and old people move very slowly, one step at a time. So the king can move only one step, but he can go everywhere in all the directions near him. You can go up, you can go down one step, left or right. You can go diagonal, slanting lines everywhere nearby the king, but only one step, very slowly. That is how the king moves. So if the white king can move up on g3, then black team's chance. Chess game is played turn by turn, chance by chance, so move by move. First white is moving, then black is moving. They can go wherever they want, but only one square at a time. Very slow, as we can see. You can go in all the directions, whether it is diagonal, straight, up, down, but only one step. So let's do some activities with the king to learn how the king moves and how the king attack the other team, which is called as a capture move. So here, the white king will try to go up slowly and capture the black pawn. Because if you're white team, you can only capture the opposite team. You cannot capture your own teammate. Let's see a capture move, and slowly the kings are going one step. And when the white king goes on top of the black pawn, we say a capture move. The king captured the pawn. The black king can capture the white pawn like this. But if you take back all the moves, then if you try to capture your own teammate, it will not happen, which is not allowed. You cannot capture your own team. White cannot capture white. See, not happening. The white king cannot capture the white pawn. And the black king cannot capture the black pawn. We cannot attack our own teammates. So let's use the white king, and one by one, let's capture all the opposite team's black pawns. So white always play the first move. Whenever we start the game, we simply go to the right side one step on d6, capture the pawn. And then again, you cannot capture the next black pawn because it is not your chance. It is the black team's chance. So he will also play something with his king, and we keep on munching those pawns one by one. The white king is capturing the black pawns. Diagonally also we can move, slanting lines as well as sleeping to the left side in all the directions. If somebody comes near the king can capture it by going one step on top of it and a capture move. So apart from the pawns, the king can also capture the bigger pieces. We can see here the black king can capture the queen by going diagonally. One by one, you can capture everyone. Whoever comes near the king. King can capture bishop also. The king can capture the rook also. We can capture the knight also. But here we cannot capture that pawn on h5 because it's two steps, not allowed. King is allowed to go only one step nearby, very slowly. Next, we'll capture the bishop, and finally we'll capture the last pawn with the black king. Always capture the opposite color team. So here, let's ask a question that this white king can capture which black piece? Let's think. Can the white king capture the queen? It's not happening because they are in the same team. White cannot capture white. And can I capture the pawn? No, it's two steps too far away. But I can capture the knight. The white king can capture the black knight, which was nearby, one step diagonally. Let's see another question with the king. Let's have a look at the black king. We learned king moves one step in all the directions. So let's find out. The black king can capture who? Can we capture the knight? No, it's the same team. Can we capture the opposite team's knight? No, it's too far away. Two steps not allowed. One step, but it's the same team's rook. Let's capture the opposite team's rook. So here we have to pay attention to the colors. If you are black team, then you will capture the white team. And if you are white, you will capture the black. Always capture the opposite team like this. Next, we can capture the white knight as well. Okay, now we will learn about the pawn. After the king, let's learn how does a pawn move. We can see the white pawn and the black pawn. So the pawn is also very slow like the king. Pawn can also move one step, but only forward. The pawn cannot go backward. He cannot go down. If he's going up, he's only going up. He can never come backward. Also, the pawn cannot move to the side, left or right, not allowed. You cannot move diagonal, also not allowed. Only one step forward. That's it. Pawn is the weakest chess piece. King is also very slow, but at least the king can move in all the directions. But pawn can move only forward. But pawn has one special power that whenever you're starting the game, as we know, the second rank on the number 2 sleeping line is the starting house of the white pawn. So from the starting of the game, from your house, the pawn can also go directly 2 steps forward or 1 step. It's your choice. So basically, the pawn moves only forward. You cannot go backward, cannot go sideways. In the starting of the game, in the first move, it can go 1 step or 2 steps. But after you come out of your house, then you cannot go 2 steps. Then only one step forward. That's it. And if somebody comes in front of the pawn, then he cannot capture. We'll learn it in the next example where there are a lot of pawns. Let's see which pawns can move 2 steps forward from the house. 1 step or 2 steps in the starting. It's your choice. So I can go this pawn 2 steps. I can move this pawn 2 steps. But this white pawn can only go 1 step forward, not 2. And if somebody comes in front of the pawn, he is blocked. Pawn cannot capture straight. So that's something different. The king was capturing everything in his way. In all the directions, the king can capture the opposite team. But pawn is little different. First of all, he is very slow. Pawn moves only 1 step forward and 2 steps from the starting of the game. But if somebody comes in front of you, you cannot capture him straight. So we have to remember the pawn moves straight, but it cannot capture straight. It captures differently in a diagonal way. For example, if this white pawn directly moves 2 steps, then the black pawn can capture it diagonally. Black pawns are coming downwards. So pawn moves straight, but it attacks or captures the other team in a diagonal way 1 step. So the green color arrow is showing how the pawn moves, and the red color arrow is showing how the pawn captured the other team. But you cannot move diagonal on an empty square on your own. There has to be somebody. For example, the black pawn directly goes 2 steps from his house, then the white pawn can capture the black pawn. Again, if this black pawn goes to f5, this white pawn on e4 can capture the black pawn on f5. But you cannot capture sideways, you cannot go backward, only forward. Capture also forward diagonally, not straight. So 1 step only. If somebody comes in your way diagonally, you can capture him like this. So as you know, in the starting of the game, we have 8 white pawns and 8 black pawns and only 1 king each. And today we learn how the king moves. King can move 1 step in all the directions, but if your own teammate is in your way, then the king is blocked. This white king cannot go up and the black king cannot go down. They have only 2 spaces to move right now. And all the pawns, they can go 2 steps forward from their house. 1 step or 2 steps, it's your choice. In the first move, you can play directly 2 steps forward or 1 step forward. After that, once you play the first move, whether 1 step or 2 step, then you can only go 1 step forward. Now the 2 steps rule is not allowed. If somebody comes in the way of the pawn, it's blocked. White pawn on h4 cannot capture. Basically, the white pawn on h4 has no moves. He cannot go forward. Black pawn is blocking his way. There's nobody to capture on g5. You cannot go diagonally on the empty square. If somebody is there, then only you can capture diagonally. You cannot go backward also. You cannot go sideways. So pawn is very weak. Okay, 1 step or 2 steps and captures diagonally. You can go 1 step or 2 steps and you capture slanting. White pawn can also capture black pawn. From the starting of the game, we can move 2 steps or 1 step, your choice. Somebody comes in front of you, you are blocked. These pawns in the green color, they have no moves, but he has a move. He can still go to h5. Okay, but these pawns have no moves. Nobody to capture, and the front forward is blocked. So please remember how the pawn moves. 1 step forward and captures diagonally. Somebody comes in your way diagonally, you can capture him. And the black pawn can also capture. From the starting of the house, you can go 2 steps or 1 step, your choice. Somebody comes in your way, you are blocked, then the pawn has no moves, it's stuck. And other than that, you can go according to the rule that king is very slow. King moves 1 step in all the directions. Pawn moves in only forward direction. So pawn is little different from the king. If somebody comes diagonally in the pawn's way, we can capture. So please keep practicing how the king moves and how the pawn moves. Let's do this nice activity with the white pawn. So white pawn is still on the starting house, number 2 rank, but he cannot go 2 steps forward because the black knight is blocking his way. He can either go 1 step forward or he can capture the black pawn like this. And if he moves his black king, then again I will capture the knight. Then again I will capture the rook. One by one, the pawn can capture whoever comes diagonally in his way. And now we cannot capture the king forward. In fact, nobody can capture the king in chess. We will learn that very soon. The white pawn is totally blocked. He has nobody to capture. And the king can capture the pawn. So king moves 1 step in all the directions. Pawn moves only forward. So now we have to learn the direction of pawn. The white pawns were starting from the number 2, they were going forward. The black pawns start from the number 7 and they go downward. But if I flip the board, then suddenly the number 7 is down, number 8. If I flip the board again, number 1 is down. So as you learned in the previous class, the number 1 and number 2, the first 2 ranks are for the white team's area, white's territory. But if I flip the board, the number 7 and number 8, 7th and 8th ranks have come down. Now it's the black team's side we are looking at. So now the black pawns are going forward. So we just have to remember the white pawn will start the game from number 2 and he will go towards number 8. So don't get confused whether the pawn is going up or down. If you are white team, then your white pawns will go away from you forward. And if you are the black team, then your black pawns will go away from you forward. And the opposite team's pawns will come towards you. So here, the rank number 8 is down. We are looking from the black team side. So black pawns are going forward. And here, the black pawn can capture who? Can he capture the rook? Not allowed. Same team. We can capture the queen. Pawn can capture bigger pieces also. Let's see another example where we will flip the board because it's white team's chance. So all the white pawns are going forward. From number 2, they go towards number 8. So which pawn has a capture move? This pawn on f3 cannot capture the queen. Not allowed to capture straight. You cannot capture the knight. Not allowed to capture your own teammate. So this pawn can capture the bishop if you want, or you can go 1 step or 2 steps from the house. Your choice. So then that's all for today. We learned how the king moves and how the pawn moves. Both are very slow, 1 step at a time. Pawn can go 2 steps from the house and it captures diagonally.